Last time out we discovered that God's story is love. He is vibrant, real, always there love. And the thing about love is it always wants to share itself. If it's true love, then it kind of overflows and wants to love something or someone. And God, as love, couldn't keep it to himself. And so like a Coke bottle that's been shaken too much, it exploded. That's why we're here, it's why any of this is here. Like every person, every planet, every atom is here because God wanted to share himself. And so he got about and created what we call the universe. And it was so good. Like God's love burst in a vibrant, diverse shower of beauty and created a place of utter goodness. A place, a world, a universe that was truly amazing. A way to understand that place is to see it as defined by 4 good relationships. Like God's original intention was to create a place of harmony, a place where humanity enjoyed a great relationship with each other, with God, with creation, and within themselves. It was a place that was defined by harmony. It was a place where humanity and God were the best of friends. It was full of real, deep love. The thing is though, that love needs choice. Like it needs real freedom. We all know that from the relationships that we have. And while God freely chose to love his creation, we chose a different way. And with that, a brokenness enters into this creation, this cosmos. And the story of history is the story of our negative choices. Choices that God never intended us to make. Choices that go against the inherent goodness of creation. Some people call those choices sin. And whatever we call them, life is full of those negative choices that we as humans make. And with those, a disharmony becomes the reality of our world. And the originally good intention of God's creation begins to get marred. As we walk around Glasgow, we see signs of those broken relationships, of disharmony. Like the broken relationship with God. We fell out with our creator and best pal and rejected God. And we try and fill that space with stuff and buying and shiny things. And that relationship we were made to have with God, one that grounded us and gave us our sense of identity, is replaced by lots of rubbish things. Rubbish choices, finding our identity in things. But what about the broken harmony with ourselves? Like it's in the addictions that we all have, the psychological issues we carry, the enslavement to our debts, the brokenness in our physical bodies like cancer and depression, all evidence of the marred relationship within ourselves. That third good relationship was between humanity and creation. And what we see around us again is the broken reality of that relationship. And rather than as an old friend, we treat the earth with contempt. It's why there's a climate change problem. It's why there's landfills poisoning the earth. It's why we're using up her resources at an unsustainable rate. And it's so far from the harmony that God imagined. And that last relationship that's been busted apart is the one between us, human against human. And again we see evidence of that all around about us. Whether it's in relationship breakdowns, or physical and sexual abuse, or the way that we wage war on each other, or even in the way that we oppress people in sweatshops, or coffee plantations, or call centres all across the world. The pain we cause others is deep and it's endemic, and shows the broken harmony between human beings. So what's God to do? His epic creation party's been spoiled, and his hopes for a harmonious universe have been undermined by negative choices. Well, the thing is that love never gives up. And God gets up from the rejection and goes on an eternal pursuit of the creation, the cosmos that he loves, with an epic rescue plan. A plan to reconcile all these things, a plan to restore the harmony, a plan to fix up these 4 broken relationships. That plan really gets started by a guy who we take our name from, Jesus Christ. And through this one Palestinian Jew, God's epic rescue plan begins to take shape. The key thing is it hasn't finished yet. And what God promises is that he is on the way to eventually fixing these 4 broken relationships. We call that time, that place, that reality, the kingdom of God, because that's what Jesus called it. A time where once again we will have complete harmony, where humans will have a great relationship with God, with each other, with creation, and within themselves. And what we see around Glasgow isn't just signs of brokenness, but signs of hope. People partnering with God as they begin to live out these 4 fixed relationships, as harmony begins to get restored. Like in a relationship with the earth, we see people who want to live out harmony with the creation, thinking and working hard at loving the earth through recycling projects or on organic farms, and decisions to embrace a simpler life, seeing transport in a new way, looking after resources so they last, loving creation so it flourishes. Or there's a hope of a fixed relationship with God, being lived out by people searching for new ways to engage with their Creator. And that might look like an old church building or like a bunch of Christians praying around their community. There's also signs of God's kingdom hope in human relationships. Every time someone chooses to forgive, every time a gun is decommissioned, every time people meet together for a meal or a chat, there's reconnection with the original and good intention of God. For humans to live as the family that we are, together, in harmony, unbroken. And the final broken relationship is the one within ourselves. And we see that being fixed, being anticipated now. We see it all over the place. Every time someone is healed, every addiction that's overcome, every person that's freed from debt. Each time someone looks in the mirror and for the first time loves themselves and accepts themselves. These are signs of the rescue, little glimpses of a fixed cosmos, a rescued creation. And our story is that God is making all this real, and that he's building a monumental team, sometimes called the church, to begin living out these 4 fixed relationships. God promises to make it all good in the end, but he invites all of us to begin taking part in the adventure of living out harmony, living out these kingdom relationships. It's why you find Christians involved in things like debt counselling, or the NHS, or recycling schemes, or on peace protests, or in finding new ways to encourage others to engage with God. The thing is, it's about God's promise of a fixed reality, of harmony restored. It's all about God's promise of a good future.